Television spin-offs walk a tricky line, honoring the spirit of their predecessors while forging something fresh. Young Sheldon, the prequel to The Big Bang Theory, has often exceeded expectations, enriching fan-favorite characters like Sheldon Cooper with poignant context and emotional depth. But one of its most compelling story arcs, Georgie and Mandy's relationship, has reached a dramatic milestone: marriage. However, their nuptial journey has brought with it a peculiar misalignment in narrative tension. The real drama, according to young Sheldon itself, should not be between Georgie and Mandy's family, but somewhere far closer to home. The wrong characters are feuding, and the show itself has laid the groundwork for a more emotionally resonant conflict, one it's inadvertently sidestepped. Let's back up. Georgie Cooper and Mandy McAllister's relationship has always felt like a curveball. Mandy, older, career-oriented, and fiercely independent, is a surprising match for Georgie, who's impulsive, occasionally immature, and stuck between boyhood and manhood. But somehow, it works. Their chemistry is flawed but sincere, and the arrival of baby Cece binds them in unexpected ways. What young Sheldon has done well is not glamorizing their romance but grounding it in difficult reality. There's friction, fear, and a heavy load of responsibility. Which is why, when conflict enters the scene, it's frustrating that it manifests in predictable places, between Mandy's parents and Georgie's, or surface-level spats between George Sr. and Audrey. These external feuds feel obligatory rather than authentic, as if the show is ticking boxes rather than diving deeper. What's missing is the far more explosive and interesting conflict between Georgie and Sheldon, or Georgie and Mary, or even Georgie and himself. Misplaced feuds take Mandy's parents, for example. Their disapproval of Georgie is classic sitcom fodder: blue-collar boy meets skeptical upper-middle-class parents. They're frosty, dismissive, and uncomfortable with their daughter's sudden plunge into parenthood with someone so young and unconventional. And while these moments are sometimes funny, they don't crackle with tension. Why? Because these characters, introduced late in the game, lack emotional weight for the audience. Their judgments fall flat because we're not invested in their perspectives. They're strangers. Now contrast that with the stormy history between Georgie and his mother, Mary. Mary Cooper, the devout Christian matriarch, has always struggled to reconcile her faith with her family's many imperfections. Her love for Georgie is clear, but it's often buried under layers of disapproval. She expects more from him: more church, more structure, more maturity, and rarely gives him credit when he stumbles toward progress. Georgie's desire to be seen and respected by his mother has simmered since season 1. The tension is real. It matters. So when Georgie takes a massive leap into adulthood, fatherhood, marriage, sacrifice, the conflict that should burn brightest is the one with Mary. Not a comedic clash over wedding colors or cake flavors, but a serious reckoning between a son trying to prove he's more than his mistakes and a mother too blinded by expectations to see it. Likewise, the Georgie-Sheldon dynamic is criminally underexplored. In The Big Bang Theory, adult Sheldon frequently references Georgie with condescension and barely masked resentment, implying years of antagonism. Yet young Sheldon often keeps them apart, siloed in their respective storylines. But the irony is too delicious not to tap into. Georgie, the high school dropout, is the one settling down, starting a family, and confronting real-world responsibilities. Meanwhile, Sheldon is still drifting through intellectual pursuits, emotionally immature and socially detached. There's unmined tension here, a sense that Georgie might actually be growing up faster than Sheldon, and resenting him for how little acknowledgement he gets. Why isn't this the central feud? Young Sheldon knows better. What makes this all the more baffling is that young Sheldon has already demonstrated its ability to handle emotional conflict with nuance. George Sr.'s death arc is a masterclass in tragic inevitability. Missy's coming-of-age struggles are layered and realistic. Even Mary's faith crisis is treated with surprising sensitivity. So why, when Georgie's story hits a pivotal moment, does the show veer into soap opera-like dynamics with Mandy's family? Part of the answer may lie in tone. Young Sheldon has always tried to balance comedy with heart. A feud with Mandy's parents is safe conflict. It can be played for laughs, resolved quickly, and doesn't risk alienating core characters. But it's also shallow. It skirts the deeper issues the audience is ready to confront. Georgie's journey deserves more than awkward dinners and passive-aggressive small talk. It deserves a reckoning. What conflict should look like? Imagine a storyline where Georgie confronts Mary, not in a screaming match, but in a moment of raw vulnerability. Maybe he asks why she can't be proud of him, even when he's trying his hardest. Maybe he breaks down, revealing how terrified he is to mess up Cece's life. Or perhaps it's Mary who cracks, finally admitting that she's scared too, that she's losing control of her family and doesn't know how to help. Or envision a scene where Sheldon, smug in his usual way, dismisses Georgie's marriage as predictably premature. Instead of brushing it off, Georgie fires back, "At least I'm living in the real world. When's the last time you cared about someone other than yourself?" That's a feud with teeth and history. These are the feuds that young Sheldon has been quietly building toward, even if it doesn't always realize it. They are character-driven, rooted in long-standing emotional dynamics, and rich with storytelling potential. Course correction as the series edges closer to its end, and to the canonical events of the Big Bang Theory, there's still time to course correct. Mandy and Georgie's marriage is a huge milestone, but it should be a spark that ignites deeper conversations, not a standalone plot. Let the characters fight, not just for the sake of drama, but because they care, because they're trying to understand each other, because they're family. The real heart of young Sheldon isn't in slapstick or sitcom stereotypes. It's in the messy, often painful, always complicated business of growing up and growing together. Georgie and Mandy's story is a golden opportunity to explore that, but only if the show dares to let the right people feud. Would you like a shortened version or an article formatted for a blog post or editorial publication?